What's doing, everybody? Today is Tuesday, September 24th. Congressman Matt Gaetz and Congressman Michael Cloud join me on the podcast today. The DOJ releases a letter from the would-be Trump assassin that puts a bounty on the head of the former president. And on the same day, Donald Trump announces he will be returning to Butler, Pennsylvania. I'm Alec Lace. This is The Alec Lace Show.
The American family is under attack. Parents are the underdog of this nation. Your children are being indoctrinated. That's right. Your children. They do not belong to the state. They do not belong to the school system. They belong to you, the parents, as a blessing from God our Father. So let's preserve, protect, and fight for the American family together. You're listening to The Alec Lace Show. The future is family.
All right, here we go. Welcome, everybody, to the Alec Lace Show. I'm happy and honored, as always, to be here with you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching the broadcast live on Rumble, please get down there, hit the follow button, get involved in the live chat. If you're listening, watching on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, please don't forget to subscribe and share the podcast with everybody in your neighborhood. Last week, I promised you guys I would have Congressman Matt Gaetz on the show. Unfortunately, we had to do a rescheduling of that. I have him on the podcast for you guys today, so I'm glad I was able to deliver that. I'm excited to have Congressman Gaetz on the podcast today. Also, I've been working hard to schedule with Congressman Michael Cloud. Michael Cloud will be joining me on the podcast as well. Met him in Detroit quite a while back at the People's Convention there, prior to Donald Trump getting the assassination attempt the first time. So I've been working hard, as I told you I would, once Congress got back in session, to do my best to get as many people from the Hill over here on the podcast. If you listened in last week, I had Congressman Scott Perry on the podcast. I've had Congresswoman Victoria Spartz. I've had Senator Marsha Blackburn. So I've been doing my best, and I'm going to continue that as we go forward here from now until Election Day to give you guys the best content possible. So Congressman Matt Gaetz will be first up, followed by Congressman Michael Cloud. So please stick around for the interview portions here. They'll be coming up as we get some more people filtering into the live broadcast. I wanted to hit on a few things first, if I could. One of the things here in New Jersey, traveling around, I seen the Trump bus, the Trump merchandise bus that was going around. It's parks in different places. You spot it all over New Jersey. He goes all over the tri-state area, really. He goes, you see him in New York. You see him all over the place. So he's a pretty popular guy. Rocky Granada is the owner. He was actually attacked here in Jersey. And so he's all over the place with the truck, and I seen him out there with it. I said, oh, man, perfect opportunity to stop by and talk to a few of the Trump supporters and find out why they're voting for President Donald Trump. So I'll give you guys a few of the highlights from that. Take a look. Alec Lace live here in Middletown, New Jersey. We got the Trump mobile, the Trump bus right behind me here. We're going to find out what these people have to say about Donald Trump and why they're supporting him here in the Garden State. Why are you supporting Donald Trump this year?
I like a president who does things that are good for me. I like a president who closes borders and the integrity of the United States, without which we don't even have a country. I like a president who gives us the fuel we need, the food we eat. And he's got the track record as a winner. Hey,
Mike, why are you supporting Trump this year?
Well, the world is upside down, and he needs to get it back, and he can do it. I was a doorman at Trump Place, actually, for 25 years in the city. I still work there, but as soon as he became president, they took the sign down. It's crazy, but right now the world is upside down.
Why are you supporting Trump this year?
We need our military stronger again. We got to protect our borders.
Have you ever seen a Kamala Harris flag?
No, never. And I used to ask people that question, too. How come you don't see any Biden flags, Kamala flags, stickers? You don't see it. Where are all these voters at? I don't know.
Yeah, forget about a Kamala Harris bus. I don't even see one Kamala Harris flag in front of a house, right? So where's all the support that they show us on TV?
Exactly. That's why they got to bust them in and pay for them, right?
It's the only way to go. I mean, we want to take our country back. We want to make our choices. We don't need the government telling us what to do. I mean, they're there to help us here and there, but we want to make our choices, man. We want our country back. We want America to be a place where my children and grandchildren can live and be proud.
Why are you supporting Donald Trump this year?
Because there's no other choice for our future.
Did you vote for him in 16 and 20?
Absolutely.
Do you think more people that you know are supporting Trump this year as opposed to years before?
More.
More so? Why do you think that is?
Because it's the only right choice.
We need more people to put the kids first. That's my biggest thing, is the kids.
To be honest with you, when they did the debate, the only debate they're going to have, it seems now, between Trump and Kamala. That issue never came up about boys playing in women's sports, about men being in the locker room. And I think that parents are going to be the key to this entire election this year, because we are sick and tired of seeing our girls get threatened by these boys in sports.
100%. I feel like, obviously men are stronger than women, and they need to compete with other men, and women need to compete with other women because they're going to get hurt.
Alec Lace, what a patriot. Trump 2024. Fuck Kamala. Wow.
Rocky Granada, this is his Trump bus, the Trump mobile. What's the top selling Trump? What do they want? What do the people want the most when they come to the truck?
Basically, the hat that I wear, everybody's looking for the Make America Great hat. The Rambo flag's been
What a great patriot. What a great patriot. Middletown for Trump.
The Trump Rambo flag's been one of the greatest hits.
Last thing, they tried to take him out 2 times that we know of. Do you think that's the last time, or you think they're going to try to take him down again?
It's sad to say, man, even though if they get what they're looking to do to him, this movement's going to move on. This movement's not going to stop. It's sad to say that they may get it right. They may try to kill me again, and they may try to kill you, but this move is moving forward.
We got the Trump truck selling all the merchandise out here. We got the kids, Trump supporters right here, guys. Who are you going for? And as I drive all around in New Jersey, I see so many Trump supporters everywhere. I see the Trump flags. I see the Trump bumper stickers. You see so many different people with the American flags on the car. You even see the firefighter flags, the support the police flags. You see so much of it. I never, ever see any of the Kamala Harris I've never seen a Harris Waltz flag, banner, bumper sticker anywhere. I had seen a Biden Harris bumper sticker here or there. I have yet to see one single Harris Waltz piece of merchandise anywhere. Yet New Jersey always somehow goes blue, and it seems like it's definitely has the opportunity. I really do think Jersey is in play because so many people here are sick and tired, like they are everywhere else in the country, of what's going on right now. So, if you want to check out that full video, get over to my YouTube channel. I posted the full about 11, 12-minute segment of that piece. You can find it on my YouTube channel, Alec Lace, over on YouTube. And maybe for those of you who are filtering in here, I was just before I went live here, I was on with DML, Dennis Michael Lynch, on the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast. I have been on with Dennis many, many times a couple of years ago. Did a lot of spots with him. So I was just on there this morning or just a little while ago. So perhaps you've seen that. You jumped over here. Maybe you're new to the program here. Welcome to the Alec Lace Show. I'm just like you, a regular blue-collar guy with a family, 4 kids, wife, 4 kids, just sick and tired of watching our country just disintegrate from this Marxist takeover, and doing my part here to try to bring you guys the latest and give you guys the best guests that I can. And I've done that for you guys once again today. Matt Gaetz, Congressman Matt Gaetz, and Congressman Michael Cloud will be here with me. Also, I wanted to make sure I told you guys Thursday on the podcast, Dinesh D'Souza will be stopping by as well. So make sure you bring it back for Thursday's podcast. And now, before I get to Matt Gaetz, just one thing I wanted to really hit on, and I'll talk to Matt Gaetz about it, was that the DOJ releases this handwritten letter from the Trump would-be assassin Ryan Routh, or Ryan Routh, however you say his name, which he delivered to a friend of his. Now, this was supposedly written a few months before the assassination attempt, and in the letter, it says... First, he goes on in the letter. He bashes Donald Trump, as you can imagine. But this is the part that's important, is he says, I'm sorry I failed you. This is referring to the assassination attempt. He says, I tried an assassination. This was an assassination attempt on President Donald Trump, which failed. I'm sorry I failed you. It is up to you to finish the job. I will offer $150,000 to whomever can complete the job. So the DOJ, in all of its infinite wisdom, decides this would be a good idea to make public. So they publicize this basic bounty on the head of the former president of the United States and the current candidate for the president of the United States from the Republican Party. This is none other than insanity to see something like this. And keep in mind that when everyone was calling for the transgender shooter in the Covington case, Everyone was calling for that manifesto to be released, but law enforcement, the government was saying, oh no, this could be dangerous to the LGBTQ community, transphobes out there. They were so worried and concerned because they didn't like the optics that a transgender went in there and shot up a bunch of Christian children. So they wanted to do everything to suppress the release of that manifesto that was being called to be released for a very, very long time. Yet here is something that you would never want to be put out into the public, where it's basically saying, hey, here's a $150,000 reward if you can take out President Donald Trump. Now, first of all, where would this guy get $150,000 when we know he doesn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of? He's living in a house, a shack. He's driving a broken down truck, right? He's got, $300 in his bank account. Yet this guy finds the finances and resources to go back and forth to Europe to recruit Taliban fighters, try to help recruit fighters for the Ukraine war, and he's going to offer a $150,000 bounty on the head of the former president of the United States. This is absolutely insane. That they were shame on the DOJ for releasing this, but you know what? They want to see this happen to Donald Trump. And make no mistake, they put this out there on purpose. And you know what? You're going to have enough lunatics that'll say, oh, I'll be the one to take it for the cause. I'll be the one that goes and gets them. And so you're going to see, unfortunately, another attempt on former President Trump. I mean, it just seems like it's bound to happen, even though now that it took 2 attempts to give him the full brass, the full protection, full Secret Service package. This is absolutely insane, and it should be investigated, the fact that they released this document. It should never have come out to the public for people to see that this guy has put a bounty on the head of the President of the United States. I think it's disgusting. And you know what? And we're going to get to Congressman Matt Gaetz here in just a second as more people filter in here. Guess who's back in the United States? It's that time. It must be out of money and weapons. Vladimir Zelensky is back. He is back in the United States. He landed in Pennsylvania here with the Democrats. And look at this. So here's what the war pigs do. You want to know what a war pig does? Look at Governor Josh Shapiro, right? Here he is. He's signing a 155 millimeter howitzer round that's supposed to be used in the Ukraine war. Look at how happy they are that we're signing this little piece of ammunition that's going to be used in war. They can't help themselves. And of course, Zelensky needs more weapons for this endless war that's never going to stop unless Donald Trump becomes president. And since Zelensky knows if Donald Trump's going to become president, and he can't have that happen because that means it's a stop to the money train that he's scamming from the people of the taxpayers of the United States of America, he's in here in the United States campaigning against President Donald Trump because it's in his interest to have Kamala Harris in that White House to keep that gravy train going. Now, where I come from, that would be called foreign election interference. All right? And we've seen... Could you imagine if that was reversed? And you had some other world leader campaigning against Kamala Harris in favor of Donald Trump because they stood to benefit from it. The media would be in a frenzy. It would be out of control. But here's Zelensky in the country virtually campaigning against Donald Trump to protect his own interests. And everyone's just like, yeah, we're normalizing this. All Trump did when he was president was pick up the phone and ask Zelensky, hey, I think your Hunter Biden is involved in some shady deals over here. Could you check into it? And because he did that, they impeached him for it. And it turns out Trump is 100% right that the Biden crime family is linked to all of this corruption. And it is obvious that this Ukraine scam has been running ever since Biden got into office. The whole thing started the minute that Biden got into office, this gravy train. It got so big for Zelensky there that, we're in war. We can't have elections. You can't vote me out. They suspended their elections. You can't even vote me out now. The military-industrial complex has fully endorsed Kamala Harris as well as the IRS. So what does that tell you? I think that tells you all you really need to know. All right. And so meanwhile, while the DOJ is releasing, we're going back to this, the DOJ releasing the bounty on Trump's head, the same day, yesterday, Donald Trump decides to announce the date, October 5th. He's going back to the scene of the crime. He's going back to Butler, Pennsylvania. This is a guy that's got balls of steel that's going to go right back into the place that almost got him shot and killed. And he's going back to do another rally, and he announced yesterday that it's going to be on October 5th. I mean, Donald Trump is a legendary legendary American hero. And God bless him for being able to go back there. And, you know, I know he said the first words you would expect to hear Donald Trump say at that rally is going to be, well, as I was saying, and he's going to pick up with that chart that he had up there when they tried to blow his head off on live TV. So that's going to be quite an event. I may take a ride out there to see it. I'm not sure yet. If I do, I'll bring some coverage of it, but we'll see. One way or the other, Donald Trump will be there, and you could bet there's going to be thousands and thousands of people that show up to support his return to Butler, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, which is obviously a key to this entire election. So, all right, let's get into this. As I promised, we got Congressman Matt Gaetz. Following Matt Gaetz, I got Congressman Michael Cloud joining me on the podcast as well. So Congressman Matt Gaetz, he represents the 1st District in Florida. He's done so since 2017. He is obviously the congressman that led the charge to throw Speaker McCarthy out of the speaker chair, which he was successful in doing, which a lot of people thought was a little undoable. They thought it was impossible. Matt Gaetz was a big part of making that happen. Now, we kind of got a sidestep here. We got the people with high hopes on Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson has turned into be more of the same, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I don't know. But right now we got this funding bill that's going to be coming up. They're going to be voting on tomorrow, supposedly. This stopgap bill. I've got Congressman Gaetz for 15 minutes. I'm going to try to get in as much as I can, talk about the assassination attempts. He's also on the Judiciary Committee, so maybe get a hit on that. So here we go. Put your track shoes on. Let's bring in the congressman.
You're listening to the Alec Lace Show. The future is family.
All right, let's do it. Joining me now, Congressman Matt Gaetz. Welcome to the Alec Lace Show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Alec.
All right, well, it's an honor to have you here. Let's just start like this. You didn't really have to be Nostradamus to realize that we weren't going to get this SAVE Act in place prior to the election here. And now Speaker Johnson has dropped it like a hot potato. Are we going to get this continuing resolution? Are we going to vote for funding the government, or are we shutting the government down? What's your take?
I don't believe we should ever fund the government with a continuing resolution or an omnibus spending bill. It is an insane dynamic to suggest that you have to take one up or down vote on the funding of the entire government all at once. In state legislators, even in the frickin' local Rotary Club, there is line item review of the budget. And the fact that we don't do that at the national level is a disgrace. And by the way, it's the reason you now can't afford a house or a car with the interest rates, because we are going $1 trillion more in debt as a nation every 100 days. And we finance that debt not by borrowing, by printing money in large sums. And then that devalues everything you've worked for your whole life because we don't make responsible spending decisions. And that's not a bug of the system, Alec. That is a feature of the system. Because if you're one of these corrupt lobbyists or special interests that's bought off the right member of leadership or the right committee chair to get your program in the budget, then it lives forever. It is the definition of eternal life. So we did, at knife point, we did single subject spending bills earlier this Congress on a large swath of the federal budget. And we've abandoned that work along with the SAVE Act. Embedded into the single subject spending bills we had was really the Secure the Border Act that would have made the asylum reforms, that would have applied Title 42 to all of these migrants coming over with drugs and diseases in a lot of cases. And instead, now we're just going to say, you know what, that last deal that Nancy Pelosi negotiated with Mitch McConnell, signed by Joe Biden, that's the policy infrastructure we're just going to accept. It will lead to the demise of this country if we do this, and I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm voting against it, and if we wanted to, we could have moved our single subject spending bills and then just done a continuing resolution for the remainder that was not achieved. But instead, we're embracing the very system that I think has crushed Americans at the grocery store, at the gas station, and when they make their monthly budgets.
Well, I'm right there, Congressman. I'm a railroad mechanic. I'm a father of 4 kids. We got a family of 6 to feed here. And we have been getting just destroyed by this Bidenomics, Kamalanomics, and just like everybody else has. But out on the street here, we are sick and tired of seeing the GOP get pushed around like a rag doll inside the House and getting nothing accomplished. We're 40 days from the election, and now we're trying to prevent illegals from voting in the election. We saw the disaster that happened in 2020. Nothing has changed. The mail-in ballots requiring ID to vote. Nothing's changed. We're saying, how do we have any faith or any type of integrity in the election that's going to happen when there's been nothing done to improve it?
Well, so let me zoom out and ask this question. Do you really want the federal government making voting laws, right? I mean, certainly as it relates to illegals, right? People who aren't citizens, I think we have a national interest. But if you want the federal government to be the policymaker on elections infrastructure, that's not going to go well for us. I can assure you. There'll be 87 pronouns on every ballot, right? So I do believe in having the states run the elections. And in some states, it's gotten better. Georgia, for example, was so humiliated by the lack of chain of custody on ballots and the lack of signature verification that their legislature went in and made changes to their laws and made it better. Easier to catch some of the foolishness in Fulton and DeKalb counties. Then you look at Pennsylvania, where there's been no improvement, and we have to win Pennsylvania, and you are going to have hundreds of thousands of unaccounted for ballots swirling around at risk of being voted when no individual intended to vote them. Now, the bright side of that is if you look at where Republicans and Democrats are in Pennsylvania today, Republicans are more than 100,000 absentee ballot requests ahead. So there's a larger universe of Republican ballots compared to Democrat ballots that are out there. But you and I both know in Philly that they're going to find some of these apartment complexes where they dump off huge stacks of ballots. The people have moved away years ago, but they're still registered at that apartment complex. And it's going to be somebody's job to go and act like those ballots intended to be voted for Harrison Walls. And it would, in fact, no human being actually did that. That's the risk. So we have to be really vigilant in watching for this, looking for these drops. We cannot allow some of these massive centers to process these ballots in the absence of real observers, and that's what we're working on.
Well, this is why I say, like, especially in these battleground states where nothing's been done to fix this security election, is where we have no faith. It's like we're going to see us replay, and it's like we're going to try to watch it in real time. I encourage people to get involved, poll, watch, do what you can, because this is it. You can't get in the DeLorean and go back in time and say, I wish I would have done something more. This is it. If we don't get it right now, it's communism in the country, and we all know that. But it just has that sense that we're going to see the same playbook that we saw back in 2020 on November 5th. We're going to be watching this, and here comes the ballot thumbs. This is why Trump says too big to rig. We pray that that's going to be enough. But even if we can swarm the ballot box, is that still going to be enough? Because nothing's been done to stop these people from cheating the way they did us the last time.
Well, again, I'm going to push back a little and say in places like Georgia, there has been some positive progress. So you can't say nothing has been done anywhere. In some places, I think we have seen improvement. In Wisconsin, we've had some judicial rulings that I think are going to limit some of the dead people voting. And dead people are just like any other group. They vote more when you make it easier for them to vote. And without a question, dead people prefer to vote by mail as opposed to in person because that's easier for them. So there have been some refinements, but here's what I would watch most carefully. On the East Coast, we've got to have our eyes on Charlotte in North Carolina. We've got to have our eyes in Philly in Pennsylvania, and we've got to have our eyes still on Fulton and DeKalb County in Georgia. If just in those areas we present a sufficient deterrent to fraud, and remember, there aren't the Zuckerbucks anymore because he got worried that there could be some liability or culpability for him, so he got out of that business. And so in just those, we can win the election. And then as you move west, we got to get the Republicans to get their act together in Maricopa County, Arizona. In the last election, there were problems with people feeding their ballots into the system. And on the day when the Republicans and Democrats were able to go and practice with the machines and test their viability, the Republican designee for Maricopa County didn't even show up. Right. So sometimes party organization has improved to the point where we're not going to be as frail as we were 4 years ago. Still work to do, though.
And I love your optimism here. And I think that maybe I'm just more of a Debbie Downer just because we're so heartbroken from 2020 and watched this disaster play out and wish there had been more done. But and just being here in New Jersey, the support that I see for Trump is overwhelming. You drive around any town here in Jersey, you see the Trump support. You don't see any Harris banners or Harris flags or bumper stickers.
Your problem's Newark. Your problem is in Newark.
Yes.
I mean, do you really believe they're running clean elections in Newark?
Absolutely not.
I thought that Chitterelli guy won the governorship. In Newark, what they do is they wait for the rest of Jersey to come in, and then they figure out how many votes they need to will into existence to get their nose over the finish line.
Well,
So
you had
I don't know.
you almost had Chitterelli in Jersey. You almost had Lee Zeldin in New York. I mean, we're right there. The tri-state area here, New York, New Jersey, we're right there. I mean, there's so much red, so many people here that support Trump that it's in play, in my opinion. If we could get Newark on board, if you have the poll watchers there, if you keep an eye on that, New Jersey would go
There's some
red.
places even the poll watchers won't go. Chief among them, Newark, New Jersey, I think. Wow, we're gonna have to get like Eric Prince to get the Blackwater guys to go and like be the poll watchers in Newark, just so that they can stay safe, not to harm anyone else.
Yeah, you got to update your life insurance policy. Let me switch to Donald Trump, talking about your life being on the line here. Now we got this letter released by the DOJ, or released. Somebody handed this letter to Ryan Routh. He was saying, I didn't get the job done. I'm offering $150,000 for somebody to finish the job. Why in the world would they release this bounty on Trump's head 40 days prior to the election, with Trump already having 2 attempts on his life?
I don't know that we've seen the last, sadly. And I no longer trust the hands of government to protect Donald Trump. They have fallen short on just some obvious things. It has been the hand of God that has protected President Trump. And so I would encourage all of your viewers, you keep praying for President Trump and his safety and his family's safety, because I think, don't these things come in threes a lot of time? It just feels that way. And in the last case, the attempted assassin was even more brazen. Like, came and camped outside of President Trump's golf course, lying in wait for him. I think that we've not met the moment. I think there has to be a lot of work done, and some things are in God's hands. We have to improve greatly, and I'll be on their case to do so. But there's no other explanation as to how President Trump has continued to survive.
And I agree with you. There's no question about it. In fact, the 2 assassination attempts that did happen on Trump both came on day where we remember our Blessed Mother. One of them came on the 3rd apparition of the Lady of Guadalupe, and the other one was Our Lady of Sorrow. So I do believe there is a hand of God in play. But also, I know you broke the story there with the five assassin teams that are targeting President Trump. And my question to you would be that if a 20-year-old kid could get within 150 yards in broad daylight with a clear line of shot at the president, if there was a real assassination team that's trained and trying to go after Trump, wouldn't they have accomplished this mission already?
Well, you don't know that those teams have not encountered some efforts to neutralize them, right? These are the known teams. There could be more than 5. The 5 that we knew about at the time of Butler are those that I have discussed publicly. And since Butler, several may have been neutralized. There may be more that we're aware of. But the operative question here is how, when we knew that there were 5 teams that were targeting Trump of various levels of sophistication, I'm sure, probably not all the most sophisticated in the world, why was our force protection at Butler for Trump drained to provide additional protection for John Bolton and Jill Biden? I don't want anything bad to happen to John Bolton and Jill Biden, but the threat profile against President Trump was so strong, it necessitated better than we provided him for protection. All the while, you had the Trump detail saying we need more assets, we need more assistance, and they were denied. And you have to sort of wonder, Alec, what's the motive for that? And people in Secret Service have said to me that it's that they didn't want Trump to look too authoritative, or like if he's got a lot of, big dudes around him, Secret Service agents, then he looks powerful, and they wanted to diminish him by not protecting him. Now, I don't, that is the view of some folks who've shared it with me, but think of how sick that is if that's true, that they would put our whole country, they would risk throwing this country into indescribable chaos just for comparative optics.
It's ridiculous. And listen, a blind man without a cane could see Trump as a bigger target than Jill Biden, yet the assets weren't allocated, and it took 2 assassination attempts for him to get the full package. And one more word on this Ryan Routh. This is a guy that had a conviction of weapons of mass destruction. They found more weapons of mass destruction in 2002 at Ryan Routh's than they did in Iraq. And he's traveling back and forth to Europe, and we're talking to Taliban members. This guy wasn't under the watchful eye of the intelligence agency. Then he just picks a miraculous spot on the fence line that he knows isn't going to have cameras pointed at him. No dogs sniffing the area, no drones in the air. This guy seemed to have his eye on the ball here and knew where to be. Was this guy helped out by anybody?
We have to follow the money, right? I mean, how was this guy able to have the resources to go to all of these places and to engage in this I guess, political recruiting for mercenary armies in Ukraine. It's a fantastical story. Now, I want to give credit where it's due. The Customs and Border Patrol agents talked to this guy, and they said this story doesn't really make a lot of sense, and they referred him to Homeland Security investigations. And when Homeland Security investigations was presented with a guy who claimed he'd been traveling the world recruiting Ukrainian freedom fighters, and that it was all being paid for by his wife. Now, I mean, I've got a wife who works and is very successful. I'm sure if I had like an intricate hobby, she'd help me support it. But like if my hobby was to travel all to Taiwan and to Afghanistan to recruit people to fight in Ukraine, I think there would be some limits. And they didn't even investigate it. They didn't even pick up the file. They just said, nothing to see here. Imagine if we had thorough, meaningful work, we could have spared ourselves this second assassination attempt. And where are they dropping the ball right now as you and I are having this discussion? That's what ought to worry us.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you make a mistake on your tax return and you got the IRS knocking at your door. So they don't miss anything, small with us. But when it comes to something obvious like this, they missed the ball. Last thing I want to hit you on, because I know I'm going to get up against the clock, was the Iranians had hacked the Trump campaign, gave the information to the Biden-Harris campaign. This seems like the media seems to have zero interest in this story. I know the House Judiciary is going to be looking into it. What's the latest you got on that?
Well, I have had classified briefings that leave me firmly with the impression that this was a partisan effort by the Iranians and that the Democrats weren't exactly fully forthcoming about how this information came into their hands. Like, imagine if the shoe was on the other foot. If the Iranians or some other country was providing the source code of the Harris campaign to President Trump, you would have every pearl-clutching host on MSNBC saying this is the greatest threat to democracy. This is proof that the worst people in the world want Trump. Like, for a moment, beside the unfair competitive advantage that it gives the other team to give them our playbook, just imagine what it means that the mullahs of Iran prefer Harris. They prefer Harris because they will be able to continue their expansionism, their attacks on Israel, their attacks on their Arab neighbors, and they know that Trump will stand firm and will contain them. Iran they were impoverished. They were dealing with all the crappy inflation that we're dealing with now under the Trump sanctions. And now, like, the roles are reversed. Iran's doing great, they're rich, and we're the ones stuck with the crappy inflation. How about that? How about just reverse the roles on that and allow President Trump to execute that agenda?
And that speaks volumes, too, Congressman. You have Iran, the military-industrial complex, IRS, Dick Cheney, Vladimir Putin, all supporting the same candidate in Kamala Harris. And they would all love nothing more than to see her into the White House. So I know in Congress we need to have more fighters like you in there. I respect what you're doing. We're sick and tired out here on the street of seeing politicians being influenced by this lobbyist money. They're bought and paid for. The votes are bought and paid for. And we just want to see people who represent us back into the House of the Representatives so we can finally have some faith in our government again.
And I'm the only Republican who doesn't take it. I'm the only Republican in Congress who takes no lobbyist money, no PAC money, because people may disagree with me even on some of the subjects we've discussed, but they at least know that I hold those views sincerely. And a bunch of these folks that walk around these halls who hate my guts in both parties, they are just actors. And it's the special interests who write the scripts and direct the moves. And what a debasing way to attempt to serve your country. We deserve better.
Listen, I respect you for it. I know my time is up. Congressman Matt Gaetz, honored to have you. I'd love to have you on again anytime down the line. Thanks for giving me a few minutes of your time today on the Alec Show.
Thanks, Alec. Good to be with you, my friend.
All right, honored to have Congressman Matt Gaetz on the podcast today. What do you guys think about the interview? Hit me with a comment down below. Don't forget, if you're enjoying the content that you're seeing on this show, please hit the like button, follow the channel, and don't forget to share it with everybody in your network. I've been working very hard here to bring you guys the best guests possible. Promise you guys Matt Gaetz delivered on that one today. Matt Gaetz is a fighter. I know there's a lot of people that are kind of go either way with a guy like Matt Gaetz, but he, just like you heard him say there, he is a guy that isn't taking the money from the lobbyists, and that should be an automatic to represent the people of this country, is to not be able to take money and be bought and paid for to represent the people of the United States. It should have to be done by everybody. Matt Gaetz is living up to that, and I do appreciate that, because I think you get a little bit of a better chance to get a fair shake out of your representative. So what else did you think about that? Hit me down below. We're going to sidestep now. We're going to go from Florida over to Texas. We have Congressman Michael Cloud, who represents the 27th District in Texas. He's been doing so since 2018. He is a member of the Oversight Committee as well as the Freedom Caucus. I had a chance to see him down up in Detroit several months back at the People's Convention. I was trying to get him to sit down at the booth there. Wasn't able to make it happen. Followed up and now got him on the show today. So I got a 15-minute window or so here with him. We're going to try to see if we can get as much content in here as possible. So here we go.
You're listening to the Alec Lake Show. The future is family.
All right, let's do it. Joining me now, Congressman Michael Cloud. Welcome to the Alec Lake Show.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Well, pleasure to have you here. Let's just start it like this. Now we're faced with another choice here to fund the government or shut it down. The SAVE Act, which we had the feeling, whether it went through or not, was never going to be attached to this bill. So what say you? What's going to happen here? Are we going to fund the government some more or shut it down?
Well, I'm never a fan of CRs. They continue, especially at this time of the year, continue to lead toward the massive Christmas omnibus bill. Had real concerns about the direction we were heading, really concerned that the CR didn't pass with the SAVE Act on it. I think that would have been the right position, not only because the SAVE Act was on it, but because it would have put it into the next term where a potential Trump administration could deal with all the policies and spending that's involved in it. You know, as we head toward December, the more likely chance it is that we'll have, again, this Christmas tree massive omnibus bill that not only will have massive spending, it'll have thousands of pages that nobody gets to read, but could potentially have a number of policy initiatives deep embedded in those pages of legislative text that could tie the hands of a Trump administration who needs to come in and make some massive changes to what's going on here in the federal government.
And this is what's continued to cause this incredible inflation that's just been crippling the American people here. And we're kind of just sick and tired of seeing it and the can continuing to get kicked down the road with more and more of this spending. And the SAVE Act, too, it's like we just say like we're 40-something days away from the election. I just had your colleague, Congressman Gaetz, on here. I was just talking about this same thing. And it's like there's been little to nothing done to secure the election from what we saw in 2020. Now, just 40 days out, we're trying to get through this SAVE Act, which we should be on the books already, that you got to show ID to vote. I mean, that's a common sense thing, it seems like, yet we couldn't get that part of it done. What kind of faith do you have in the integrity of elections, given what we've done since 2020?
Well, like you said, this isn't a partisan issue anywhere but Congress. 85% of the country says this is common sense. My wife's a naturalized citizen. Of course, only citizens should be voting in our federal elections. And so, yeah, as we continue to head down this path, we've got to do everything we can. A lot of states have done a lot of good work over the last couple of years to put us in a better place. There's something for us to do as citizens, certainly being involved. I used to be a county chair and used to have to help man those election judges and those kind of things. So there's a lot of things for citizens to do to reach out to your local party to participate. But yeah, there's still a lot of work to be done. And certainly our eyes are on certain states like Pennsylvania. We had, we all saw what happened in the last different election. People doing everything they can to not have any sort of accountability or to have eyes on the process. And so there's a lot of concerns about what kind of tricks of the trade may be pulled as we head into November.
Yeah, it seems like the usual suspects, again, as we're looking here at the swing states, the most important states. That's where all the eyes are going to be on to see if we can make sure that we have people there, hopefully poll watchers that aren't being paid off by the wrong people, and we can get somebody there to keep an eye on things. But it's just the feel of this atmosphere feels kind of similar to how we felt right after 2020. We were like, wait a minute, all of a sudden in the middle of the night, the votes changed, the ballots changed. Everyone felt there was something off, and we just have that feeling right now that we hope we don't see a repeat of that, because it feels like right now, everywhere you go, the momentum is with President Trump. The American people are sick and tired of what they've had. Even Tim Walz said, hey, we can't have 4 more years of this. So we and honestly, we can't. I'm a regular working guy, railroad mechanic, 4 kids. We cannot do this for another 4 years, Congressman.
No, certainly not. I've obviously toured my district and stay in touch with people going on. I've talked to a number of people who, small business owners who just 3-4 years ago were looking to invest. They were looking to expand, to build new buildings, to hire new people. And just a few years later, those plans are off the table, and they're digging into personal savings to try to make payroll. every month. And so this is the thing that we've seen. And the thing that I keep saying is the American people aren't getting their economic news from a White House press briefing. They're going to the grocery store and they're seeing prices higher than they have been. They see that their budget doesn't go as far as it used to, and they see that their savings, when we have massive inflation, that's a tax on people's savings. The people doing it right are the ones most punished. And so, we've got to turn course. This massive government spending where we keep just spending out the money, stealing, frankly, from the next generation. Every argument that gets pushed up here, everybody's like, what about the children? Well, what about the children? What about the next generation that we're putting this massive burden of inflation? They're going to be the ones that have to pay the price unless we make a sharp change in how we're doing things up here.
It has to be. It has to be take the ball and start going on offense. And if it takes shutting the government down to get it done, in my opinion, it's got to happen. We can't just keep spending so much money that we're spending out of control. But let me switch gears here to the border, because this is obviously the economy and the border are the two top things on people's minds, most of them across the country. But the open border, we've seen them tell us that they suppressed information about migrants with ties to terror at the border. And now we just seen this report that 4 RPGs and 8 IEDs, explosive devices, were found along the border, right just across from Arizona in Mexico. Border Patrol agents are being warned that there's a drastic escalation in weaponry being used on the south side of the border, which, if that's what they found, God only knows what's made it already across. But this is another catastrophe.
Oh, yeah, it is. And we've got to stop looking at these cartels as, 1980s street gangs. They're not. They're highly sophisticated. They're militarized. We are basically the last end, a taxpayer-funded human trafficking organization, and we're the last mile paying for that, unfortunately. And this administration has continued to turn a blind eye to that. And then the terrorist threat that's coming across the border, we've known that terrorists are seeking across the border, and those are the ones we know about. What the real concern is the gotaways, the ones we don't know about. You don't get out of China without China wanting you to get out of China. And so when you see a number of military-aged adults from China and other countries like that don't have our best interest in mind streaming across our border, it should raise a red flag. The number one job of Homeland Security is to protect the homeland, but they've stopped protecting and have been just prioritizing processing. And so that's really all that's been going on. It's been devastating to the morale of the people many of them veterans who said, hey, following my service in the military, I'm now going to serve as a Border Patrol agent and do what I can to protect the country. And it's just devastating to our communities that are paying the burden for this. Now we see it happening all over the country. And this administration not only has turned a blind eye to it, they've done everything they can to aid and abet the cartels in this nefarious action. And
it's really an act of war, Congressman, from China and from these cartels is what it is. I mean, you have thousands of people dying from the fentanyl, and now you have all these and especially, too, I wanted to get to this because the DOJ released this letter from the shooter, Ryan Routh, the second attempt on President Donald Trump, where he, in the letter, is offering a $150,000 bounty for anyone who wants to finish the job. Why in the world would they make that public? This is just an open cry for somebody else to take a shot, whether the $150,000 payoff is going to be there or not. I mean, why would you publish this out? We didn't get the manifesto from the trans shooter. They wanted to protect that because they were afraid of what it would do. Yet this, they put public?
That's really concerning, too, when you see the duplicity that's happening here, when you see how different issues are treated differently. And certainly, at a very minimum, when you're pointing to what's happened in the 2 assassination attempts, at a very minimum, there seems to be a careless disregard toward protecting President Trump. And the more, it's been one of those things where the more we ask questions, the worse it sounds because of the responses we're getting back from the people who are supposed to be investigating this and the people who are supposed to be authorities on this subject. It's mind-boggling to most Americans, the fact that this continues to be allowed, and we're doing everything we can to push back on it, but we've got to see some action from the DOJ.
It just seems like, Congressman, you have, on one hand, you have 2 assassination attempts on Trump. Meanwhile, you have illegals with ties to terror organizations. They're suppressing that information coming into the country. Congressman Gaetz was talking about 5 assassin teams that were on the ready targeting Trump. It just seems like, how in the world could this happen in America here? And they finally give Trump the full package of the Secret Service after 2 assassination attempts. He doesn't get it prior to the first one or after the second or after the first one. He gets it only after the second attempt. It's almost as if they're doing everything they can to kind of grease the wheel of what they're trying to do to him.
Well, and it seemed like they were following the manual and doing the basic minimum requirements of protecting President Trump, even though they knew he had an elevated threat against him. State actors actually sending people into our country to try to take him out. That should put him as a high-profile protectee, and certainly it's nice to see that happening today. But you got to wonder why that's taken so long, and you can only think that it's because there is not the concern that the rest of us have for President Trump when it comes to protecting him.
It is. And so let me get it to where you are in Texas here. We've only got 40-something days here until the election goes. What's the sentiment there? Are the people in Texas? I would imagine you talked about the economy, the border. Is that the top of mind? What's on the top of mind of the voters there in Texas?
Well, if you asked me about a year ago, people would say, like, what's going on in Texas? Say, top 3 issues in Texas, of course, are border. But I got to tell you, as the economy's gotten worse, the border's still just as important. But the economy, people are trying to make ends meet just as well and have our economy working. Energy is so key, not only in how that ties into the economic security of our nation, but what it means geopolitically, how it's tied to our monetary system, all these different things. And the Biden-Harris administration has everything but, it's all backwards policy when it comes to energy. But, we touched on it at the beginning, but as I travel around, one of the things people are very concerned headed into November is that we're going to have secure elections. And so there's, when you see a government that is just well extended beyond its purpose, one of the biggest things we have to do as we look to a next term is we've got to rein in the administrative state, because all these agencies have outgrown their authority. They are bloated, and they're not doing a very good job at meeting their goals. And so that's one of the things certainly that we're going to have to be looking at, what we can do to rein in these, to right size this. Just during COVID, 2 years of COVID, our federal government grew about 30%. And it's not like before that, Americans were sitting around thinking we have a lean, mean fighting machine of a federal government, So there's a lot of work to be done. I think about Elon Musk. He walked in Twitter, fired 75% of the people, and had a better product for it. And so there's a lot of things we can do to make sure the American people are getting the best value, and that we're getting rid of a lot of the nefarious action that's happening in our federal government.
And it's a scary thought, Congressman, that we're this close to having Kamala Harris be the commander in chief. It's the more she talks, the dumber I feel. And it's like, I cannot believe that we're that close. And I can't imagine, just from the word on the street here I'm in New Jersey, in the communist state of New Jersey here. We constantly see Trump flags everywhere, Trump supporters, no matter where you go. Yet this state always seems to go blue because of certain particular spots in Jersey that seem to be a little bit more corrupt than others. But it seems like across the country, all 50 states could be in play, because we're all going to the grocery store. We're all going to the gas station. So I think every state should be in play here. I haven't seen a single Kamala Harris flag, banner, bumper sticker, yet they tell you on the news that she's the most popular president, even despite nobody voted for this woman.
Yeah, you got to wonder how that happens. We all remember the basement tour of the Biden administration, and the thing the American people got to realize is you're running against an apparatus, so you swap out the figurehead. This one's got maybe a little more spunk and can find her way off a stage, but it's the same policy set, and it's the same effects that are going to be on the American people. And in anything, it's a notch up toward Marxism, communism, leftism, that is completely contrary to the founding of our country. It's completely contrary to what is the principles that have undergirded the American miracle, that have really taken us in just a few hundred, in the scope of history, just a few years from the birth of our country to the premier influence in the world, and an overall net positive for not only people here at home, but for the world, and us being that shining city on a hill for those principles of liberty and human flourishing.
It's worth fighting for. There's no question about it. And I feel everyone kind of has that same feeling right now, that if we don't get it in November, we're never going to get another chance at it. And I know you guys over at the Oversight, you guys are investigating right now what's going on with Act Blue. What can you tell me about that investigation? What's going on with them?
Well, we're still into the investigation, but there's a whole lot of concern, and certainly this is one of those cases where there was a lot of opportunity for fraud left in the process of how they were collecting donations. There's first of all, they didn't require the security code on their credit card payments, and so they're taking massive amounts of credit card payments and small dollar figures that are hard to track. They were also, the potential of the millionaire donors, the big, huge donors buying up a number of gift cards and somehow farming those out to people and then donating along those lines, to where you have somebody basically donating in somebody else's name. These are all the things that we're getting whistleblower reports that have the potential of having been happening over the course of time. And so you have a couple House admin is looking into this. House Oversight Committee is looking in at different avenues of it. And this week we'll have a bill on the floor, at least to begin to secure the security code issue. But there's a lot more work to be done on investigating and making sure that
you know what,
bad stuff's not happening there.
Congressman, the feeling here, I mean, especially for myself, I could speak for, it's just that it seems like no matter what is uncovered, even if they find out that they're doing this fraudulent stuff, even if they find out, it feels like the people on the other side feel like it's justified. Even if they're doing it illegally, it's justified because Trump is that bad. The media has portrayed him as that bad. Even the assassination attempts, you have people that feel like, oh, well, too bad they missed them. I mean, you have people genuinely hoping they try again because the media has built them into a Hitler. And if you could go back in time and take out Hitler, why wouldn't anybody want to do that? So that's the problem. Even if you uncovered his stuff, it's like they're going to say, well, so what? Whatever it takes to get him out of there.
Well, and then they turn around and talk about civility and unity, and we need all, it's the duplicity. But I think the American people are seeing through this now. They're not buying the stick anymore, and I think we'll see the difference of that come November. But this again is one of those issues to where constantly, whether it was election security or whether it was in the censorship, to where it's just once the corruption's unveiled, it's like, oops, oh, I'm sorry, but the damage has already been done, and this, what you don't see on the front end, and even with the Secret Service, it's where's the gumption on the front end to really do the due diligence to do this right, and we don't see that coming out of the left. We just see a bunch of excuses.
Yeah, it's wild, the double standard. And the last thing I just want to get your take, just because it just happened here, Zelensky comes into America. He's in the swing state of Pennsylvania. He's signing, you got Josh Shapiro signing missiles for him. And it's like, it just seems like he's there and he's campaigning in a sense against Donald Trump. Whereas back in the day, Donald Trump called Zelensky to ask him about Joe Biden. They impeached him for it. Here comes Zelensky now. He's basically campaigning with Biden for Harris. And it's like, no one cares about this whatsoever. So it's like, to see the double standard is kind of odd. What's your take on that?
Well, yeah, again, coming from Texas, I can tell you, and now people understand this all over. Why are we working to protect someone else's borders when we're not protecting our own? And it's hard to get past that point when I'm talking to the American people back home. Our first priority should be to protect our own borders. We shouldn't be meddling in something over there. And certainly the amount of money we're sending over there that's been unaccountable. We've actually been paying to support their political apparatus as well, and paying for the pension programs of their politicians. So this goes beyond what they would say warheads on foreheads against a threat. This is gotten into a whole lot of stuff that the American people just, when they know how their money's being spent, don't really support it. They want us to protect their homeland.
It's crazy. Congressman, I know I'm up against the clock. Send me away here. Put your crystal ball. Look into the crystal ball there. Are we going to have a government shutdown or the continuing resolution goes through? What do you see?
Well, if I had to guess, DC is going to be DC, and we're kick the can down the road. Unfortunately, I find ourselves in the same spot every September 30th. Congress acts completely surprised that September 30th didn't know it was coming somehow, and we have to kick the can down the road. Unfortunately, that's probably what's gonna happen. We need to get back to passing the appropriate bills that have the due diligence, that have the work put into them, and that give the American people the ROI on their investment.
Well said. All right, Congressman Michael Cloud, honor to have you on. Love to have you on again back down the line. Thanks for giving me a few minutes of your time here on the Alec Lee Show.
Sure thing. God bless y'all.
All right, honored to have Congressman Michael Cloud on the podcast. What you guys think about that interview? Hit me with a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I mean, we are coming up to the crunch time here. November 5th keeps getting closer and closer. We're only 40-something days away. And, I know how Matt Gaetz was, we got some stuff done. It just feels that way. It just seems like not enough has been done to secure this election. And it's just, that if it was legit head-to-head, Trump, it would blow out Kamala Harris. It's not even close. She doesn't belong in the same league. I can't believe we're this close to having this imbecile run the White House and run the country. So we need all hands on deck here to make sure we get it done. Again, Congressman Michael Cloud, appreciate his time on the podcast. And if you are enjoying the show, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow wherever you're listening. If that's on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, please like, follow, rate, review, subscribe, whatever you could do to help. I really appreciate your help and your suggestions. Matt Gaetz was one, made it happen. I've been trying to get as many guests as I can here that you guys suggest, so put them down in the comment section below of other guests you'd like to either have new guests that I haven't had or returning guests. I've had so many people I've been blessed to have return multiple times to the podcast. So if you have a suggestion, please put it down there in the chat. And those great guests are going to continue. Thursday on the podcast, I got filmmaker, author Dinesh D'Souza joining me on the podcast. I've done several interviews with Dinesh D'Souza. He invited me to come down to Mar-a-Lago last year when he had the Police State premiere down there for that one. He's got this new film movie coming, Vindicating Trump, out this week. So going to have him on the podcast on Thursday. That one's going to be a banger. It always is. I love when I get a chance to talk to Dinesh D'Souza. So make sure you bring it back here on Thursday. One last thing I wanted to kind of hit on here. That I thought was interesting because it's something that my wife and I discuss. I mean, if you have college-age kids or late high school-age kids, it's on your mind about colleges, sending your kid to college, what's the next step after high school. And for so many parents, and I really do believe that parents are going to be the key to this entire election here, what has happened to the colleges in this country has been just a complete Marxist takeover. If you're not aware that that's happened, you will be once your child comes out of one of these liberal colleges because they come home. And if you're wondering why they come home from these colleges and they hate America, they hate the police, they believe climate change is their God, they don't believe in God the Father, they don't want to start a family, right? They hate everything about our country and our freedom. This gives you a little bit of an insight. I found this study pretty interesting. I saw this posted on X. This is from 2018. College professors, this was a survey done of 5,116 college professors and whether they are Democrat or Republican. And look at these results, and I'll put them on the board and go through just the top ones here. As you can see, it's dominated by the Democrats. And the top categories of communications, 100% that were surveyed, Democrat. Anthropology, 100%. Religion, 99.5%. English, 97%. Sociology, 97%. Art, 97%. Music, 97%. Theater, 96%. Classics, 96%. So as you look on and on all the way down this list, the only one that even gets close is engineering, which is 61% Democrat. Okay, that's the closest one on the list. This thing, the whole college industry is heavily tilted by the Democrat Marxist policies, and they are drilling them into kids' heads. You never have a situation where a parent like myself, who's conservative, is, well, this is what I should say. You have that situation where you have a conservative like myself is worried about sending their kid to college, and they come out with all this poisonous mentality, poisonous Marxist philosophy. That's the fear. The liberal parent does not have the fear that they're going to send their kid to college and they're going to come home draped in the American flag, loving liberty, loving God, loving the country, wanting to create something for their own, become a capitalist. This isn't what's going to happen. So the liberal parent has no fear of that. They know that when the liberal sends their kid to college, they're kind of hoping they come back as a different gender. Otherwise, it's a failure, the way that they look at the world. So I found that kind of eye-opening, and it's just something's got to be done with this higher education system in our country because it's become a total disaster. Everyone's coming at you. So me, in my situation, I'm looking at all of these people ahead of me that are coming out of these colleges with nothing but debt, no skill sets to pay them off, and begging the uneducated people like myself who never went to college to pay off their college tuition. I mean, so why would I send my kids into this same revolving door that's producing no results, but just liberal lunatics? So what's your take on that? Hit me down below. Curious to hear your thoughts on it. But really, that's, everything that I had that I wanted to cover with you guys today. I think we got to pray for President Donald Trump. As I said, you heard Matt Gaetz, 5 assassin teams that they had that they knew of prior to the Butler incident. They are running and gunning for President Donald Trump, and he needs all of our support, all of our prayers that he can get. So I know I will be continuing to do that on my end. So if you enjoyed today's podcast, please, guys, again, I'm a lone wolf here, a one-man band running this show. I work, I'm a railroad mechanic, blue-collar guy, like many of you listeners are out there. I'm a father of 4 kids, just a family guy, I love my country. I embrace my faith. I embrace my family, and I just want to be able to live freely in this country and be proud of it once again. And I think we can do that if we can get President Donald Trump back in office. So I hope you guys will come back with me here on Thursday. I am scheduled to have Dinesh D'Souza. Hopefully he will be here with me, and we'll lock that in. I mean, it looks good right now, so that's why I made the announcement. I know last week I told you I wouldn't do that unless I was sure. Pretty sure we got it locked down, so I'll bring it back for Dinesh D'Souza here on Thursday. Don't forget to follow me on X at Alec Lace for all the other upcoming guest announcements. And I am streaming this also live on my Locals channel. If you're looking to support me, support the work that I'm doing, get down there, hit the Locals channel, and give what you can, or give me some support. Don't forget to hit me with your suggestions down in the chat box down there. Let me know who you want to see. Going to keep working my tail off here to bring you guys the best of the best. That's all I got for you guys today. God bless all you parents out there, you listeners. God bless our police, our first responders. God bless our military. God bless our veterans. God bless America. And I'll catch you guys Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Rumble.
You're listening to the Alec Lace Show. The future is family.